Hello, and welcome to this Morpheus Tech Brief. I'm Martez Reed, Director of Technical Marketing with Morpheus Data. In this Morpheus Tech Brief, we'll cover the integration between Morpheus and HashiCorp Vault. Before we jump into the integration, let's talk about what HashiCorp Vault is and a number of its use cases. HashiCorp Vault is an open source secrets management platform for securely storing sensitive information such as passwords, API keys, to be leveraged in a programmatic fashion. So as an example, being able to leverage it as part of an application deployment in which there's a need for database credentials to be utilized for an application configuration. HashiCorp Vault provides an API endpoint to enable the interaction between the application configuration tool or deployment tool, such as an Ansible or a standard Python script, to be able to interface with HashiCorp Vault to be able to pull that secret information out of HashiCorp Vault. That allows for the ability to be able to take advantage of automation in an end-to-end fashion, but also securely store sensitive information. So being able to leverage it for static secrets, dynamic credential generation, so being able to leverage HashiCorp Vault to dynamically generate credentials that are short-lived. Falling back to the database example, being able to leverage HashiCorp Vault to effectively rotate credentials on a time-based manner or in a time-based fashion provides the ability to be able to reduce the potential exposure for those credentials, given that they're now no longer long-lived credentials that may live on for, let's say, a number of years, but reducing that exposure by rotating those credentials in a frequent fashion. Additionally, a number of other use cases, such as a public key infrastructure or PKI for certificates, KMS or key management to be able to cryptographically handle things that need to be encrypted in the fashion that allows the organization to be able to ensure that information has been encrypted either at rest as well as in transit. And then finally, data protection or KMIP. That includes a number of integrations with third-party platforms that utilize or leverage that protocol for encryption of sensitive information for the third-party platform. So a number of different use cases for HashiCorp Vault over and above just static secrets management. So now we have an understanding of HashiCorp Vault and a number of its use cases. Let's take a look at ways in which the Morpheus platform can leverage HashiCorp Vault. So the Morpheus platform includes a number of areas in the platform in which sensitive or secret information needs to be stored for things like integrations, whether it be a cloud integration, an IP address management integration, several other areas in the platform where sensitive information or credentials need to be stored and ultimately fetched. Additionally, the platform includes the ability to be able to execute automation. And as we walked through in the previous example, there's a number of ways in which automation can leverage and does need to leverage sensitive information for the configuration of systems and the deployment of applications. So let's take a look at the two areas in particular in the Morpheus platform where HashiCorp Vault can be integrated to provide centralized storage of sensitive information in HashiCorp Vault, but allows the Morpheus platform to be able to fetch or retrieve information from HashiCorp Vault. The first one is the Cypher integration. So out of the box, the Morpheus platform does include a native secrets management capability known as Cypher. This integration allows the platform to essentially be able to proxy or reference information, sensitive information from HashiCorp Vault to be utilized and leveraged in the various different areas of the platform in which Cypher is natively integrated into. So as an example, the Morpheus platform allows automation tasks within the platform to be able to reference sensitive information stored in Cypher. As an example, if I wanted to leverage an API key for use in a Python script, I could add the API key into Morpheus Cipher, and then reference that in a dynamic fashion through my Python script by leveraging the integration with the Morpheus platform to fetch that information, and then perform any subsequent actions or operations against that API that I needed. The value is that seamless integration between the automation task and the Morpheus Cipher integration. Provides a number of benefits, but in this scenario, I might want to leverage HashiCorp Vault as the ultimate store for that sensitive information. So the Cipher integration for HashiCorp Vault allows me to be able to utilize and take advantage of the seamless integrations within the platform, but storage of the sensitive information, in this example, the API key, is ultimately going to reside in HashiCorp Vault. So leveraging the Morpheus platform for its benefits from an automation and integration perspective, but leveraging HashiCorp Vault for the secure storage of that API key. The second integration within the Morpheus platform in which HashiCorp Vault can be leveraged is what's known as the credential store integration. A number of versions ago, Morpheus platform added what we term as the credential store. This provides a centralized place or mechanism within the Morpheus platform to store and reference credentials for various integrations within the platform, as well as various areas in the platform which credentials can be utilized. The benefit of this functionality is the ability to centralize those credentials. So when a set of credentials need to be rotated, as an example, if I needed to utilize the same set of credentials for various different cloud integrations, I could rotate those credentials in a single place and then have that picked up or referenced across those various integrations without needing to update each of those individual integrations on a one-off basis. So centralizes that capability. The benefit of bringing in the HashiCorp Vault integration, similar as we saw with the Cipher integration, is being able to utilize and reference HashiCorp Vault for the storage of that sensitive information. And so provides all of the benefits of providing a central reference point within the Morpheus platform, which is that credential store that we talked about, but ultimate storage of the sensitive information or sensitive credentials is left up to HashiCorp Vault, and Morpheus will reference that integration point. So two ways to be able to leverage HashiCorp Vault within the Morpheus platform from a native integration perspective: the Cipher integration, as well as the credential store integration. Let's take a look at what some of those look like. Within the Morpheus platform, the HashiCorp Vault integration is actually built leveraging the Morpheus plugin framework. So the area to find the HashiCorp Vault integration, first of all, would come down to going to share.morpheusdata.com, downloading the HashiCorp Vault integration specific to the version of the Morpheus platform that's applicable. And then once that's installed, then being able to add the plugin into the platform and then specify the various pieces of information that are being requested. As we see here, out of the box, the integration has a number of pieces of data that are being requested. So in this case, when I add the plugin into the platform and then I go to edit the plugin, what it's asking me for is credential information for the Cipher integration within the Morpheus platform. So as we mentioned, that's the ability to be able to take advantage of the Cipher functionality within the platform, but essentially proxy the storage of the credentials to HashiCorp Vault. So that's what we see here on this particular slide, in that it's requesting information such as the URL or API endpoint for HashiCorp Vault instance, as well as a token to be able to reference from HashiCorp Vault. So this is going to set up the Cipher integration within the Morpheus platform. So let's take a quick look at what that looks like, as well as how that's leveraged within the Morpheus platform. So let's jump over to an instance of Morpheus. So come to administration, come to integrations, down to plugins, and then we can see in this case, a HashiCorp Vault plugin has already been added to this platform. As I said, If it hasn't been installed in the Morpheus platform, you can go to share.morpheusdata.com. Let me see here, there's HashiCorp Vault, and you can click download to download the HashiCorp Vault plugin for the Morpheus platform. After it's been downloaded, I would come into the Morpheus platform, click add, and then install the plugin. And so after it's been installed or added to the Morpheus platform, I can click edit on the particular instance of the plugin. Once again, I would specify the URL or API endpoint for my instance of HashiCorp Vault, as well as a token for HashiCorp Vault. One thing to mention with the token is when defining the policy, certainly one of the best practice requirements is leveraging the principle of least privilege. So in this case, specifying in the policy associated with this particular token that I'm going to use for Morpheus, I want to ensure that only the information that I absolutely want Morpheus to be able to reference or read out of my HashiCorp Vault instance is referenced. So one thing to keep in mind as you're crafting your policy for the token that would be leveraged by the Morpheus platform is ensuring that you're only scoping it to what exactly it is that you want the Morpheus platform to be able to reference from the instance of HashiCorp Vault. So we've specified the URL, we've specified the token as well. From that point, what I'm now able to do is I'm now able to actually reference endpoints in HashiCorp Vault utilizing the Cypher integration. Commonly, when you come into the Morpheus platform and you're adding sensitive information within Cypher, you're going to go to add within Cypher and then specify what it is that you want to add into the platform. With the HashiCorp Vault integration, it provides a seamless pass-through. So in this case, I'm not going to see a reference to a path in HashiCorp Vault. So I choose to leverage essentially the transparent integration. So this is where it gets back to ensuring that you're scoping the policy for the credentials that are being leveraged to integrate with HashiCorp Vault to specifically just what it is that you want Morpheus to be able to reference. So as an example, I have a script that I'm leveraging in Morpheus that is going to read from my instance of HashiCorp Vault. So in this case, I am leveraging that integration that we specified, also specifying that the key value store that I want to reference, which in this case is secret. And then because it is KV2, I'm referencing the data endpoint. And then ultimately my path is super secret that I'm referencing. And so what it's going to do is it's going to, similar to the native Cypher integration, it's going to read information from this particular endpoint or path. In this case, it's not going to reference a path within Cypher. It's going to leverage the integration to read from HashiCorp Vault this particular secret information. So let's come down to previous example that I've ran. In this case, I have executed this particular script. In this case, it was against my local Morpheus instance, just for example purposes. In this case, I have specified that I want it super secret, and it's spitting out the information that is under that path within HashiCorp Vault. As we saw, the path does not exist within Morpheus, and I'm referencing the path within HashiCorp Vault. So provides the benefit of leveraging the Morpheus platform's Cypher integration that ties into the various automation capabilities. So in this case, we're referencing from our bash script. Could have been Ansible, could have been Python, but it provides the ability for us to be able to dynamically pull credentials and sensitive information during the execution of our automation as part of a build out of an application, a particular instance that I want to deploy. Going back to our previous example of the application deployment, being able to reference HashiCorp Vault for, let's say, my database password, to be able to take advantage of the integration between the two platforms, Morpheus and HashiCorp Vault, to be able to securely store that information, but reference it as needed within the Morpheus platform. So we've walked through the Cypher integration. that allows us to be able to store the sensitive information in HashiCorp Vault instead of natively within the Morpheus platform. The next integration that we're going to talk through is that credential store integration that we mentioned within the Morpheus platform that can be utilized and leveraged for us to be able to centralize the storage of credentials within the Morpheus platform. So let's take a look at that within the Morpheus platform. So once again, we've added the plugin within the Morpheus platform for HashiCorp Vault that provides us the ability both to be able to leverage the Cypher integration as well as the credential store integration. One thing of note in particular for the credential store integration, we do need to specify the particular integration point for HashiCorp Vault. We saw that we specified it for the Cypher integration when we edited the plugin, but for credential stores is another place within the Morpheus platform that we're going to configure it. This provides us the ability to specify maybe we don't want to leverage the Vault plugin for the Cypher integration, but we just simply want to leverage it for the credential store integration. This provides that flexibility. So I come into infrastructure, come to trust, and then I come down to integrations within the platform. So I would come to add, and we see that there is Cypher as well as HashiCorp Vault credentials. If the Vault plugin has not been added to the Morpheus platform, you will not see HashiCorp Vault credentials. The only thing you will see is Cypher. So that's why it's imperative that we add the HashiCorp Vault plugin to the platform for us to be able to enable this capability. So we would go to add, and we would specify very similar to what we just took a look at. For the Cypher integration, we would specify the API URL, specify a token. In this case, we've got the KB version 2 specified for the Vault engine. And then we'd specify some additional information, such as the mount point within HashiCorp Vault. In this case, by default, we're going to leverage secret. We could specify any other mount point that has been defined within HashiCorp Vault. And then we're going to specify a path within that mount point that we want to define credentials for Morpheus to be able to reference and to leverage. So we come into the Morpheus platform. And so credentials are specified for the given integrations that I can leverage. So under infrastructure trust credentials, I have the ability to be able to add various different credential types that can be utilized for various different integrations within the Morpheus platform, such as cloud integrations, being a common one, as well as a handful of others. In my example, I actually have a deployment of VMware vSphere running in my environment that I might want to leverage centralized credentials for. And so as an example, I could come down here, I could specify username and password. Adding the credentials, we're provided with a number of pieces of information, as well as requested from us for various pieces of information. Credential store is the primary one. In this case, platform does include what we term as an internal credential store. So that's going to leverage the Morpheus platform and its encryption and secure storage capabilities via Cypher to store sensitive information. In this case, I could select internal, but what I want to do is I want to reference the HashiCorp Vault deployment credential store. So this is going to allow me to be able to store any credentials that I've added in HashiCorp Vault as opposed to natively in the Morpheus platform. I would provide a name as well as the username and password that I want to utilize for these credentials. I can specify it here and then reference it subsequently in the various different places in the Morpheus platform that we mentioned. Another way to leverage the credential store is by creating a new cloud, as an example, or a new integration that supports it. In this case, we're going to utilize a cloud as our example, specify a name. And then when we specify credentials, we see that there's an option here. Right now, it's going to leverage local credentials. These are the credentials that are tied specifically to this cloud. And so when I need to rotate credentials for the clouds in the Morpheus platform, I would have to come back to this individual integration and rotate those credentials. I could also specify that I want new credentials. What this is going to do is provide me with a prompt similar to what we just saw when we went to the credential store to create new credentials, secret store, internal, or our HashiCorp Vault instance. So this is going to allow me to add credentials as I'm adding the integration for this particular use case. But in our previous example, we saw that there were existing credentials that were added into our credential store. In this case, I could specify that I want to leverage those credentials within the Morpheus platform. What this allows me to do is, once again, provides the ability for me to be able to centralize credentials. And so we see that I'm now leveraging those credentials from the HashiCorp Vault platform, and it has provided me the ability to be able to connect to this particular VMware vCenter environment. I haven't statically specified any credentials. I've simply referenced credentials that have been defined in the credential store within the Morpheus platform. So let's take a look actually at HashiCorp Vault. Let's take a quick look at how that works. So we've got our secret engine within HashiCorp Vault. So we specified secret as our mount point. And then one of the things, we'll take a quick look back at our trust configuration. So we specified infrastructure, trust, and then we're going to go to our integrations, and then we'll click on the Vault Credential Store. So we see that we've specified our mount point, which was secret, and then Morpheus-credentials was the default secret path within our instance. So we see that under secret, Morpheus-credentials, and in this case, CLI demo is what the credentials are referenced as. And then we see that there is a username and a password that has been specified. So that's what we're actually leveraging for that particular integration touchpoint. So CLI demo is what we see, and that's what we utilized when we went to add the cloud integration into the Morpheus platform. We referenced those particular sets of credentials and provided us the ability to be able to quickly define what it is that we wanted to provide from the credential standpoint. So CLI demo is what we see. And that provided us the hook into that VMware vCenter environment. So once again, provides us the ability to not only leverage the credential store ability to centralize credentials across the various integrations within the Morpheus platform, but also provides us the benefit of being able to centrally store those credentials or the sensitive information in HashiCorp Vault for secure storage. So we walked through a number of things in this particular session of the Morpheus platform and the integration with HashiCorp Vault. Certainly, this session has been recorded and will be posted to the Morpheus YouTube page within the next day or two. Certainly, feel free to go to morpheusdata.com/community to try out the community edition. It's limited to 3 clouds, 25 workloads, but certainly provides a testing bed for testing out integrations such as the HashiCorp Vault integration within the Morpheus platform. The Morpheus community discussion forum is also a great place to find out additional information about Morpheus. So discuss.morpheusdata.com is a great way to find out additional information about the platform. And then also, as we took a look at HashiCorp Vault, integration is a plugin. There's a number of other plugins that have been developed, as well as could be developed with the Morpheus platform. So you can find out more information about plugins via developer.morpheusdata.com. Certainly appreciate the time that everyone has taken to join this session, and thank you for joining.